What's going on, guys? Welcome to Party on Broad. Today is our Eagles training camp preview. We are breaking down the top 5 storylines for the Eagles at training camp. Joining me, my man, he is our co-host, Rob Lange at Philly_Madness. What's up, Rob?
All I know is when I saw these guys getting out of their cars the other day, Dibes, my excitement, I was like, oh, there's we do every year. We say we're not going to do this. I can't help it, man. I'm excited. I'm excited for Eagles football. There's excitement around this team again. And I think the fact that it's happened a lot quicker than what we expected makes it that much more fun. But I do have that cautious optimism because I've been here before. And I'm not going to lie to you. A couple of weeks ago when Miles Sanders decided he wanted to call this an all-star team or whatever he said.
Oh, Jesus.
I wanted to punch him square in the face because it just reminded me of Vince Young. So
yeah,
we can't go back down that route, but a lot of fun to look forward to in this preseason. And I mean, the kickoff is going to be here before we know it. So I'm pumped, man.
I'm so excited, man. Just so many reasons for optimism for Eagles fans. Just, if you're a hater of Jalen Hurts, just step aside. I'm as big a skeptic there is, but
right.
There's as many reasons as there are to kind of question Jalen Hurts. There's even more reasons to be excited. And let's jump right into our number 5 biggest storyline for the Eagles at training camp. Lead us off, Rob.
So I'm going to go with the safety battle because I think we talked a lot about, all right, they're obviously going to let Harris play on the one side, but then it was all about Epps. But then they go out and they sign Jaquiski Tartt, who is a guy that's played a bunch out in San Francisco. He's a decent player. To me, if he can learn the system, I feel like he could be the better option than Marcus Epps. So, I'm interested to see how that plays out. Does Epps have the upper hand because he's been there? I tend to be a skeptic in Marcus Epps as your starting safety there. So I kind of lean Tartt's way. I really wanted to come on here and tell you how much I love Kayvon Wallace, but the kid hasn't been able to stay healthy. So I'm interested to see how that safety battle works out and if the Eagles basically have 2 new starting defensive backs.
Yeah, I'm just going to piggyback right off of that. That's my number 4 storyline for the Eagles. That safety throwdown, man. The Eagles currently have 7 safeties on the roster, but is there a true starter at the position? I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. You've got Anthony Harris, who was absolutely disappointing last year. He's versatile. He can play in the box, but coverage-wise, he doesn't bring it. Then you got Marcus Epps, Jaquiski Tartt. Everyone's still waiting on Kayvon Wallace. So for me, that is definitely my number 4. Day one of training camp, per Dave Zangaro, said the first team safeties, but what's important here is Anthony Harris was not practicing, was Marcus Epps and Kayvon Wallace. The second team guys was Jaquiski Tartt and Andre Shashir. I don't even know how to pronounce that. It's probably not making the roster. So there it is. And apparently Marcus Epps had a really good play today. He picked off Jalen Hurts, a Jalen Hurts pass to Dallas Goddard in the end zone. So Marcus Epps keeps making plays, but this is a huge season for Marcus Epps. He's going to have a bigger role. He's going to have more responsibilities. Is more Marcus Epps a good thing, Rob?
I don't know, man. Like I said, listen, it's hard to complain about what Howie Roseman in the front office did this offseason because they really attacked a lot of the areas of need. But I question, I know he was a late signing, but Jaquiski Tartt was a starter for San Francisco last season, last couple seasons, whatever it might have been. I don't think you make that signing if you're really excited about Marcus Epps. If you're excited about Marcus Epps, I don't know. I mean, I guess now teams like to play the 3 safeties a little bit more. Yeah. So maybe that's your reason. But look, I know he's a good kid and he's a homegrown and he's been here, quite a few years now. But I don't know. I would rather a little bit more. I feel like we go through this every time we let a staple of a safety go, right? Dawkins left. It took us forever until we got Malcolm Jenkins. Malcolm Jenkins left, and now I feel like we're always just rolling over at this safety position. Like, I want to get a guy that can just play. And that's why I was so excited when you heard all those rumors about Cincinnati wanting to trade Bates. But, now that's probably not happening. So, I mean, I guess we'll see. It should be an interesting – one of the few position battles, like when it comes to a starter, that I think you're going to see this year.
Yeah, and I'm just going to use that to piggyback off with my number 5. And for me, that is the Eagles' offensive line battle at right guard. That is my number 5 here. I think the Eagles' offensive line has all the potential in the world to be the best in the league, the true identity of this team. And that battle between Seumalo and Driscoll is going to be a lot of fun to watch. I think you look at Seumalo, started at left guard for the Eagles since 2018, had some injury issues. During that time, Landon Dickerson establishes himself at left guard, thrives right next to Jordan May. A lot of that left side of the line is absolutely massive. That's one of the core strengths of this, Eagles team. Seumalo is a good starter. He's a quality starting guard in the NFL. The problem is health. Since he started 16 games back in 2019, he's only played 12 the last 2 years. And Jack Driscoll, same kind of scenario. He's shown promise. He's versatile. He's a quality starter. But he's started 13 games. He's got some injury issues himself. He missed 5 games as a rookie. He missed 8 more last season with injuries. I think that's going to be a bloodbath there at right guard. I'm really excited to see. I think it's going to be Seumalo right now. That's probably going to change as camp moves forward. But for me, right guard, I'm really excited to see kind of the true identity like last year, man. That's the true blood of this Eagles roster.
Yeah, and the hope is that they can, keep continuity with whoever it is, right? That they can stay healthy. You got some good depth there, yes, but I love to see the starters stay healthy. Love to see Lane Johnson play, a full season. Obviously Jason Kelsey's been an Iron Man. There's so much love about that offensive line, but that's a position I forgot. That right guard battle will be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to solidify. I think it's a win-win situation. I think they're both great options, considering everything that's surrounding them. So that's for me, number 5. I'm so excited for the Eagles O-line to dominate in 2022. What about you, Rob? What's your number 4?
So my number 4 moves to the wide receiver position, and it's not the top part, right? We know the top 4 guys for the top 3, probably top 4, but it's how many wide receivers do they keep on this team? And that leads me to the second part of it. Is Britton Coveey one of them?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's one of these situations. Like, I think they keep 6 wideouts. I just do. I think that they'll look with that Brown, Smith, Watkins, Pascal, right? Those guys are there. My assumption is Jalen Reagor's on this team again, but much less playing time. But what I love about Britton Coveey is he's a returner. He actually have a returner for the first time since God. I don't even know, man. Like, I feel like they have just
Reno Mahe.
Yeah, seriously, like they've just been plucking guys back there. And Britton Coveey, he did a pretty damn good job of it at a pretty decent school. You know what I mean, in college. So like, apparently the coaches love him, from what I'm hearing. I would love to see if he could somehow, because of his special teams ability and because he could be a danger in the return game, see if he could get himself a spot on this roster. I think that would be so awesome. Unfortunately, I don't think the track star is going to make it. So I would love to see Britton Coveey find a way onto this roster.
Dude, I'm so glad you brought up Britton Copeland. He was my number 6. I didn't have him on there. I mean, I love my top 5. I think they're terrific. But you look at special teams, man, it's not good enough. The Eagles special teams is not good enough.
Hasn't been for years.
And I love that selection. He was my number 6. He didn't make my when we were gonna finish this, I was gonna bring up Britton Coveey because I think that's an underrated subplot of this training camp, and see what.
No matter he's got all the makings of, no matter if he makes his team or not, being the new preseason darling of the fan base, right?
I like it. I like it.
Like the Paul Turners of the world and like all these
I
guys.
like it. Exactly.
You know what I mean? The only difference is I'm not looking at Britton Covey as an offensive juggernaut. I'm looking at him as a special teams ace that finally gives us someone who knows how to return a kick and or a punt. And I don't have to watch Jalen Reagor go back there ever, ever, ever again. That's what I want.
Yeah. I mean, there's been plenty of training camp darlings. I'm old. I go back to Nate Alawa. Remember Nate Alawa, like the running back? He just tore it up and just never amounted to anything.
I remember a couple of our draft picks, like Billy McMullins back in the day, that I couldn't wait to watch.
Oh my God.
Nothing.
Oh. LJ Smith was a pad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
LJ Smith. I'm trying to think. There were a couple running backs that ended up like, I remember who was it? Ryan Moats, didn't play much for him.
Ryan Moats
was like a preseason guy, and then he had this one great game, and he ended up making it a career. Like he bounced around for a little bit, and made a little bit of a career. But I think Paul Turner is the ultimate preseason love affair. And I fell for it too. I was all Paul Turnered up.
Yeah. All right, I'll just go into my number 3 selection. For me, it's Jonathan Gannon's new look defense. I'm really excited to see what we got with Gannon this year. It's beyond clear that the personnel wasn't good enough last year. That is not the case this season. The Eagles upgraded significantly, talent-wise, flexibility-wise, the ability to play multiple schemes. Dave Zingaro reported today in training camp that the Eagles were in a 3-4 and a 4-3 today. You saw Graham and Sweat kind of used up as stand-up rushers, Jordan Davis at the nose, Javon Hargrave, Milton Williams as 3-4 ends. The depth at defensive tackle and on the interior is one of the true strengths of this team. Now you've got Hassan Reddick, who has 23.5 sacks the last 2 years. 50 quarterback hits the last 5 years. James freaking Bradbury on the other side, opposite Darius Slay. There's everything on the table for Jonathan Gannon to have a strong 2022 season until he becomes a head coach. So not only is everything on the table for Jonathan Gannon to have a really good defense, but as well as become the next head coach in the NFL. So for me, my number 3 is, what are we going to see from Jonathan Gannon schematically? There's so much more for the Eagles to use and utilize, and especially get to the quarterback here, which is absolutely vital. For me, Jonathan Gannon is my number 3.
And that was my number 2. The defense.
All right.
The defensive scheme is absolutely my number 2. Is it going to be 3-4 hybrid? Who's going to be up? Who's going to have a hand in the ground? What are you going to see? I mean, you obviously expect Hassan Reddick to be an outside stand-up rusher. Can Josh Sweat be that guy? Can Brandon Graham play that? Because if you remember earlier in Brandon Graham's career, when they had the 3-4 under Chip Kelly, he kind of struggled when he was asked to do those things. But he's now more of a veteran, and they're going to be so interchangeable in that front seven. But listen, there's no excuse, right? We talk about, well, they didn't have this, they didn't have that. Jonathan Gannon's excuses are done. They have talent from the front end to the back end. Are there places where you just don't know? Sure. But for the most part, this is a much improved defense. And they're going to be running what looks like what Gannon would like to run, which is more of a hybrid type of D. I'm very curious to what the scheme is and how quickly these guys pick it up, specifically the guys that have played most of their career in just a straight 4-3. How well are they adjusting on the fly here?
Yep. Could not agree anymore. Yeah. I don't want to see, our defensive backs 10, 15 yards off the line. There's plenty of juice on this Eagles front seven to punish teams, really punish teams with Jordan Davis, taking up blockers on the interior. Our edge guys getting home in 2022. There's plenty of the Eagles edge rushers got into the backfield. They just couldn't get home. And I'm just tired of saying that year after year after year. So you've got the secondary, or not in the safety position, but you've got the outside corners and Avonte in the slot unlike last year, where you kind of have a lot more freedom there for Jonathan Gannon to give you a little more disguise and stunts and different things like that on defense. So I can't wait for that. And that actually, like, I'm so excited for this Eagles linebacking core in 2022. I'm just so excited to finally get back to Eagles football. The Jim Johnson blood in me, like watching a good defense again. The bend don't break defense, man. I get it, but let's get back to a top 10 defense for Philly, man.
Absolutely.
What's your number 3? Oh, God.
You kind of just touched on it. My number 3. And my big question is, how do the linebackers pan out? What does it look like? Because, obviously, Kaiser White was a legitimate linebacker for the Chargers. The guy's going to play here. Nakobe Dean, how quickly does he come along? How quickly does he carve out a major role? Because I think he could carve it out pretty quickly. And then you have the guys that we talked about. Hassan Reddick. Are they going to call him an edge rusher? Are they going to call him a linebacker? What's going to be the situation? But then you got the guys that have been here, right? The TJ Edwards, the Davion Taylors, and to a lesser extent, your boy, the Sean Bradleys. How does this position group play out? Like, if they're going to have 4 linebackers, if you count Reddick as a linebacker, and they're going to have 4 guys out there, how do they do it? Is it, where are they positioning these guys? Because to me, I want to see Nakobe Dean and Kaiser White out there together. I think those 2 guys with a Hassan Reddick on the, as one of the linebackers. And then, I don't know. I mean, Davion Taylor before the injury last year, I think really surprised a lot of people. I like TJ Edwards, but let's be real. The linebacker play hasn't been good enough. Like, he was the best amongst an below average group. So if these guys take a spot, like, I know everyone has these fanfares, but, I think if they're going with a little 3-4 look, I would love to see it as White, Dean, Reddick, and Davion Taylor. Yeah. Because, my God, think of the athleticism you're talking about, which is something we haven't seen in a linebacking core maybe ever from the Philadelphia. Not since Seth Joyner and Byron Evans and those guys. You know what I mean? It's been a long, long time. So how that linebacker room pans out is going to be interesting to me.
I couldn't agree more, man. I'm hopeful that Kobe Dean can stay healthy and prove it at training camp. And he's the guy for the middle of this defense, because Nakobe Dean is sensational. We'll see, man. That's what's exciting about this is there's no more talking about Jalen Hurts. There's no more talking about how Gannon might be on the hot seat and all this stuff. Like, we're going to see it. We're finally going to see it in probably less than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited to actually talk about what we're actually going to see rather than running it through our heads a billion times.
Yeah.
My number 2 is the Eagles play calling run versus pass. That is what I'm really excited to see. I think that's one of the biggest things to watch this season is the Eagles play calling. Hurts is really going to obviously benefit from having the same offensive system, and he's got the same play caller for the second straight season here, heading into his second full season as a starter. I think you look at this offseason and you look at A.J. Brown, you look at Dallas Goddard, you look at the Eagles finishing last year as the 25th ranked passing offense in the league last year. Rob, that is not happening in 2022. They brought in they have all these weapons, these passing weapons. They're going to put Jalen Hurts in position to throw the ball. This is a passing league. Can he move the ball downfield? He was dead last in the NFL in checkdowns. Can Jalen Hurts, utilize the checkdowns rather than just ducking his head and running out of that pocket? There's a lot of reasons, a lot of things I want to see from Jalen Hurts, and why I'm really excited to see him in 2022. But for me, Nick Sirianni, Shane, is it Steichen? Steichen?
Whatever it is, make the right play call.
He's a play caller. Well, what we learned from last month was that he actually was the play caller, like especially that second half of the season when they were run heavy. Like I'm interested in that play calling, not at the beginning of the year, but towards the end. Because if the Eagles get a few losses in this schedule, there's going to be thousands upon thousands of Eagles fans going, run the damn ball everywhere. Yeah. And will Nick Sirianni and the Eagles coaching staff say, no, we have to pass the ball and allow Jalen Hurts to kind of go through those growing pains, which is going to happen? Or will they become a run-heavy, run-dominant offense, which doesn't tell you a goddamn thing about Jalen?
No. But I think that the one thing I like about Nick Sirianni as a coach is he doesn't try and just fit players into a system. He tries to fit a system around his players. If you see them after a few weeks going back to this run, you might as well just chalk it up as Jalen Hurts will not be the quarterback next year because they don't trust him, right? Like they're going to give him an opportunity. And it kind of leads me into my number one because I didn't want to just make it, it's all about Jalen Hurts. To me, I want to see Jalen Hurts and how he coexists with his weapons, right? You have Devontae Smith, second year. You have A.J. Brown, who is the most elite receiver the Eagles have had probably since Terrell Owens. I mean, I know the first year with Alshon was really, really good. But when you talk about a receiver who has been considered in the top 5, 6, 7 of the league just as early as last year, and then becoming an Eagle, that's more like a Terrell Owens type of addition. Mm. You have Dallas Goddard. Quez Watkins is another year older. Zach Pascal has made a living in the slot, which means you've kind of shored that position up a little bit. You look at your backfield guys and Miles Sanders and Kenny Gainwell, and you say to yourself, how is he going to coexist with these guys? Look, Jalen Hurts, and I'm as skeptical as you are, Dobbs. You know that. I always have been. But I don't believe Jalen Hurts has it in him to get worse. I don't know how much better he's going to get. I hope he gets a lot better. But I don't think you're going to see like this, oh, my God, Jalen Hurts is so much worse than last year. That's just not in his MO. He works too hard for that. You got to hope that you see enough strides to say, hey, he can pass in this league. He can have a balanced attack. He can use his legs when they're necessary, but doesn't always have to use his legs. And if he does that and he uses these weapons effectively, well, we now have a quarterback probably for the next 5-6 years, and we could really start to go after this thing. So to me, it's watching how he reacts now, having not just Devontae Smith to throw the ball to, but a multitude of weapons around him.
Yeah, I'm just going to piggyback off of that. Obviously, the number one storyline for the Eagles is Jalen Hurts and his arm. I just put it, and his arm. Yeah. It's a passing league, Rob. And if Hurts takes that next step forward with his ability to pass the ball, be accurate, hit receivers in stride, in tight spots, like this guy's going to be in Philly for a long, long time. There's a lot of speculation, fantasy football projections. Can he hit over 4,000 yards and all this stuff? Like everything's in place for this guy to succeed. What I want to see him grow, where I want to see him grow, Jalen Hurts, is in the pocket with or without pressure. There were too many times last year where you saw him just sense pressure even when it wasn't there and just duck and run. Yeah. There's a lot of areas for Jalen Hurts to kind of grow, keep his head up, stepping up into the pocket, finding open receivers, seeing the whole field, going through his progressions. We saw a lot of missed targets last year. We saw a lot of inconsistency last year. It was a lot of ups and downs. I think a little bit more positives than negatives, but that doesn't give me anything. This is a put up or shut up season for Jalen Hurts. Like you said, we all know Jalen Hurts is a great game manager. Like, I hate the takes on social media and stuff. Like if you don't like Jalen Hurts, then you're a hater, or vice versa. Like I'm right in the middle. Like I think Jalen Hurts is a NFL quarterback that's going to be in the league for a long, long time. But is he a franchise quarterback? I'll tell you, Rob, there's a lot of really good ones in this draft coming up. Yeah. And this is a win-win. This is an absolute win-win. the proof will be in the pudding. I'm excited to see Jalen Hurts take that next step. And apparently, and you look back to like last training camp, since it's a training camp show, like Jalen Hurts was really inconsistent in last year's training camp, man. Obviously, it's a hard situation to be in. Per Dave Zangaro, he had a really good day here, apparently, in day one. He said there was a couple mistakes, but it was a very promising start. So, getting Jalen Hurts on that same page with his, new weapon in A.J. Brown and stuff is going to be so much fun to watch. So much fun. That's by far the quarterback's the most important position in sports, period. So that is my number one.
Yeah, and I mean, look, you look at this team, they upped the ante by making the playoffs last year, right? Nobody thought that was going to happen. Were they the benefit of a easier schedule down the stretch? Sure. But you still got to go out and win those games. And they were able to do that. But you can't take a step back now. Now you got to take a step forward. So now you got to win 10 or 11 games this year. Now you have to really compete for the division. I think that they have just as good a shot to win the division as the Dallas Cowboys do right now. I mean, I just do. I look at the off seasons, and honestly, I look at Dallas and I look at how their owner has thrown this major pressure onto the situation down there with some of his comments. And I look at the camaraderie of this team already. Like, I'm not like everything's got to be rah-rah all the time, but, the way A.J. Brown is all about that it's Hurts season. You know what I mean? The way that these guys are laughing it up and like they're a close-knit group. I think last year it really brought them together, guys that were here. And whoever is new, they've just said, look, this is our culture. And you got to credit Nick Sirianni for that. Like, I'm not saying you got to call him a great coach, but this guy knows how to get the best out of his players, I feel like. And that's what I'm hoping to see again this year. I mean, this team we dogged Nick Sirianni when he started talking about plants and roots and soil. We absolutely dogged him. But that somehow became this like gathering of the team. That quote became their thing. Like Jason Kelce broke down a huddle saying roots on 3. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what it is, but he's got the attention of these guys. And even the veterans sound like they're having fun again. Even the veterans sound like they're having fun.
Emotional intelligence, man.
Yeah.
Emotional intelligence.
Seriously. And him and Howie have a cute little love interest with each other, Nick and Howie. Their press conference today, my God, the amount of jokes they were making.
I'm excited for Nick Sirianni to kind of take that next step. Is he the best coach in Philly right now? I don't know.
Rob Thompson hasn't been terrible. And John Tortorella hasn't started coaching yet, but it doesn't matter because they decided they don't care anymore.
I don't even know what the Flyers are doing. Nick Sirianni, I give him a ton of credit. The way he, kind of rallied the troops that second half of the season last year. The Eagles players are clearly playing for him. It's going to be so much fun. Did we leave anything else out? Is there anything that's not on this top 5 list that you can think of?
I don't think so, man. I think between our 2 lists, we've really covered the things that we're talking about. I mean, it's funny. It's funny to think of where we were a year ago with how many questions and how many things. And now it's like you got to look for them a little bit. Like, obviously the Jalen Hurts things is there, but look, it's Slay and Bradbury are your corners. Don't have to worry about that second corner this year. Your defensive line should be legitimate. I hope Derek Barnett gets cut, but that's all besides the point. I mean,
you know what I'm excited about this list is like it's put up or shut up time.
Yeah,
for everybody across the board.
Yes,
no more excuses in Philadelphia. Period.
Absolutely.
Jalen Hurts, Jonathan Gannon, Nick Sirianni's play calling. Like it's playoffs or bust. I'm not saying they're going to go out there and win a Super Bowl next year. Not even close. Not even remotely close. But measured success is real for this team to win a playoff game. And that doesn't even – I'm not even talking about Jalen Hurts in that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different measures for success when it comes to Jalen Hurts' team, but it starts at the top and the number one position. I'm excited for this team to prove it.
Right. If this team goes out and wins a division and wins a playoff game, success. The year's a success. But if you squeak into a wild card and you lose in the wild card round, to me that's a failure. You did not improve upon the groundwork you laid last year. Yeah. And that's what I'm looking for, And if that means you got to win the division so you get a home playoff game and you can win it, so be it. That's what you got to go and do. So we'll see. We'll see. That's a great way to put day one in the books for Eagles training camp. We'll see. We're not talking about hypotheticals and theories anymore and what we want to see and what we think is going to happen. We're going to see. We will see. All right, Rob, anything you want to plug or before you wrap up, or final thoughts before you close up shop here? Nah, man, I'm just I'm excited for, a fun couple weeks with the, two teams that are kind of playing right now. When you talk about the Phillies and you talk about the Eagles, hopefully the Phillies can keep us interested in a little playoff run. It would be really cool to see the Eagles start the season back up and the Phillies in the playoffs again. Once again, the Phillies are kind of in that same boat. I don't need to see them win the World Series right now. But, I really want to see a Phillies playoff series. I really want to see a Phillies playoff series. You know what I mean? That's kind of where I'm at. I'll be on Twitter. I'll be, popping on to some of your shows at Philly_Madness. That's about it,
I love it, man. I have my own takes on the Phillies. I'm not optimistic. Sorry. I'm not optimistic.
It's okay. There's no reason. I don't blame anybody for not being optimistic. But
I've been burned too many Septembers and Octobers, and
I'm very intrigued to see what they do by Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's going to go a long way. If they can add, it can't just be one trade. To me, there's a couple pieces. To me, you need a center fielder and you need another starting pitcher. If you can get those two things, maybe, you know what I mean? Who knows? But you need to figure some stuff out. I mean, I really like the way they played today. I thought that was a really, really nice win for them today.
Huge win. Absolutely huge win.
Yeah. But now they can't go out to Pittsburgh and lay an egg. They got to go out there and handle their business.
That's what they do, right? They look good, and then they lay an egg against the Cubs. So
exactly.
I've got my top positions of need for the 2023 NFL Draft done. My goal was to get them done before training camp. Top 5 quarterbacks, top 5 safeties, top 5 cornerbacks, top 5 edge rushers in next year's draft is done and in the books. So I'm really happy about that. A lot of work goes into those things. No one realizes how much editing goes into that. But anyway, those are done. If you love the NFL Draft, I think those are my top 4 positions for the Birds. Me and Austin have been counting down our top 10 most important Sixers. Just little preview short shows on what to expect for each player for the Sixers next year. And
Austin getting some radio interviews now, man. I saw he's been with Farzetta, got on with Ty. Ty loves him some Austin. Ty has been talking about Austin for about 2 years now. He will consistently bring up Austin Crow. Loves Austin. Good for our man Crow.
Love it, man. Love it. Yeah. Expect a ton of Eagles content here moving forward as training camp proceeds. That's about it. Guys, if you're watching us live, smash that like button. Please be sure to subscribe. Follow Rob on Twitter at Philly_Madness. I am Dives, Mr. Crockpot. For Rob, for myself, stay awesome, everyone.